Did you know there's only a 0.1% chance of having triplets? Meeting triplet girls who are also billionaires and having them fight over you? I can't even begin to compute what the odds are of that ever happening. But that's what happened to me. I'm Sam, and my story's about how these insanely rich girls competed for my attention. I was looking for something to do during winter break when a friend of mine suggested that I work at his family's ski resort for the season. Being an avid skier, and after hearing what their instructors got paid, I agreed. Lucas's dad was cool enough to hire me on the spot, and even offered to take me on permanently if I ever decided to go full-time as an instructor. It was on my last weekend there that I met Lily, Violet, and Ivy. I didn't know I'd made such an impression until they came up to me after class with an offer to stay at their lake house come summer break. They gave me their numbers and made me promise to keep in touch. And as my house was practically a 5-minute drive away from their scheduled holiday home, I told them that I'd see them there. When I told my friend about that interaction, he exclaimed, "The Van Den Berg girls? You got invited by the Van Den Berg triplets?" "I don't even know their last names, bro," I told him. "Well, it's not like there's a bunch of triplets just walking around everywhere," said Lucas. "Petite green hair, turquoise eyes, looking like they own everything." "Sounds about right," I confirmed. "Yep, you've got the eye of the richest, most infamous triplets in the country," said Lucas. "I'm proud of you, bro." I don't even know what any of that means, but thanks, I guess. I soon found out exactly what Lucas was saying. The girls texted me day in and day out. They wanted to know what I was doing. They wanted to know where I was and how my day was going. Not a second after I replied to one triplet, the next would text. It was as if they were in a race to see who was going to extract information from me the fastest. And it didn't end there. Soon enough, they started pursuing to me. They asked to go on virtual dates since they liked me, and demanded that I call them every single night. I had to schedule their calls because they were all going to different schools in different countries. But when Ivy complained that she was always getting called last, I had to come up with new, different ways to appease them. I made sure to cycle between spending time with Ivy first, then Violet, then Lily. But again, the girls weren't satisfied. They squabbled amongst themselves in our group chat, saying Ivy had disrupted the order. Violet said she was getting tired of staying up until 2 a.m. just because Ivy's time zone was way later than hers and Lily's. So I suggested that we do conference calls instead. Sounds like a straightforward, obvious solution, right? A win-win situation? Not for the girls, apparently. They talked over each other and got jealous whenever I said a single nice thing to one of them. "You don't think my dress looks pretty too, Sam?" said Violet during one of our Zoom calls. I scratched my head. Yes, I said. "Your dress looks really pretty too, Violet. It really brings out the color of your eyes." "But what about my eyes, Sam?" whined Ivy. "Aren't my eyes pretty too?" "They're pretty, very pretty, like calm waters in a tropical paradise," I exclaimed, racking my brain for more cringy lines in case either Lily or Violet saw fit to have their eyes complimented too. And, as if I'd cursed myself by thinking that, Lily muttered, But, what about my eyes?" "Your eyes are just as pretty! You're triplets! You all have the same eyes! Jeez!" I said before I hung up the call in annoyance. I didn't talk to any of them for a day. After I realized maybe I was a bit short on them, and that maybe I needed to extend my patience a little bit. So, I made up some excuse, telling them that I'd been having problems with my internet. That eased my guilt about ignoring them. The same day, an entire crew of technicians arrived at my house and installed a 1,000 megabyte per second fiber line. "Courtesy of Miss Ivy Van Den Berg, sir," said the guy who was supervising the whole thing. I texted Ivy on our group chat immediately. "Thanks for the wildly generous gesture, Ivy," I told her. "But it really wasn't necessary. My internet's back on now." "Yeah, but now you won't have to worry about your internet ever again. It's all on me, of course. You won't have to spend a cent. That provider is the most reliable on the market, and I have a direct line to the CEO. Any problems, and I'll sort it out for you," she wrote back. I should have just called her in private, because pretty soon, The two other girls wanted to outdo Ivy's gift. Within the hour, a massive package arrived from Violet. In it was everything I could ever need to build a computer. A custom-made computer case, RGB fans, radiators, the latest GPU, a CPU that I could never afford. A motherboard that had steel accents and RGB lighting on it. A bunch of RAM, SSDs, 6 8K monitors, a power supply that was too top of the line, wireless gaming headphones, a wireless mouse, and a wireless gaming keyboard. The whole 9 yards.
Hope you like my gifts too,
said Violet when she called me. Yeah, I did, Violet. It's way too much, I told her. I don't really need all of this. I have my own computer, you know?
Yeah, but now you can use that one,
she replied.
It's faster and newer, and the guy at the store told me you won't be able to find a better setup. Now, your call quality's sure to pick up, right? No more dropped calls?
I scratched my head. I guess so, but are you sure you want me to keep all of this?
Of course I'm sure, silly. It's a gift. I just want to make sure you call me first, alright?
She said. But before I could answer, she'd already gone. And then Lily's gift came. She called me as soon as it arrived.
My app says the package was delivered. Did you get it? Did you get it?
I panned my phone's camera. It's here, I said.
Open it! 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 Open it!
Lily rattled off. As I opened the delivery on camera by Lily's insistence, I heard her say,
See? I knew Violet was gonna forget a few things, so I got you a mirrorless camera, and you can use that as a webcam for when you call me. I also got you a pro condenser mic with all the trappings. Do you see it? Do you see it?
It's all here, I said. You didn't have to do all this, Lily.
Oh, but wait! You haven't gotten to the best part!
I dug deeper into the box, and when I fished out the consoles and the most expensive phone I've ever had in my hands, Lily let out an excited trill.
Yay! All yours! I got you the newest Z-Box and the TS5. Now we can game together. Don't you just love that?
I nodded awkwardly. I'd never been spoiled with so much gifts from girls. On one hand, it was awesome. On the other, it was starting to really get to me. See, for months, the girls didn't let up on their little competition. It was starting to get in the way of school and my part-time jobs. And they'd fight so viciously even when I was around to hear them. So one day, I just changed my number and ignored them completely. I had a few peaceful months to myself until summer break arrived. I was on the docks by the lake, helping my dad with his boat as we welcomed the season's new tourists when a stunning designer yacht anchored itself right across the water from us. A small speedboat ferried the yacht's passengers, and they docked next to my dad and I. And wouldn't you know it, it was the Van Den Berg girls. They ran to me and trapped me in a tight four-way hug. Ivy immediately began to pepper me with kisses, and as soon as Lily and Violet saw this, they kissed me too.
We were so worried,
they said in unison.
We thought you'd been in an accident or something. Why didn't you call us? What happened?
I lost my phone, I said. This new SIM doesn't have any of my old numbers and stuff.
But isn't that your old phone?
Said Lily. I cursed Lily's impeccable memory and attention to detail. No, this one's my brother's phone. Still don't know what happened to my one. I patted myself on the back for coming up with a decent excuse on the fly. I saw my dad fix me a suspicious look, but I gestured for him not to say a word.
But you could have called us on Zoom. What about the computer I sent you?
Asked Violet. Got hacked, I replied.
And the consoles and the new phone I sent you?
Asked Lily. You could have
sent me a message there.
Billy took them. Couldn't say no when he packed the whole lot to bring with him to college, I said, using my brother again as an excuse.
Oh, my poor Sam,
lamented Ivy as she hugged me even tighter.
It's all right. We'll get you new ones right away. Right, girls?
And the other two of the Van Den Berg triplets nodded. Somehow, my lame excuses worked. The girls began pulling me towards their speedboat.
We're taking you to the lake house,
said Violet. She turned to my dad and said as she shook his hand.
You must be Mr. Weiss, yes? You wouldn't mind if we hung out with Sam for a couple of days, right?
With my eyes, I pleaded with my dad to help me. I shook my head violently as I begged for him to save me. Nah, go ahead, girls, said my dad with a laugh.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss,
Said Lily.
See you, Mr. Weiss,
Added Ivy. As the boat pulled away, my dad waved us goodbye with a massive grin on his face. The Van Den Berg Lake House was massive. The girls welcomed me in, sat me down, and gave me a drink before they all crowded around me on the couch.
Now,
Began Violet.
I've talked to our dad and... I talked to him first.
Objected Lily.
No, I did.
Countered Ivy.
Fine, said Violet. We all talked to our dad, and he's agreed that we can marry you.
Hold up, what? I exclaimed.
But you have to choose one. You can only marry one of us,
Said Lily. I should hope so. I managed to joke through the sweat that started dripping down my face. But I can't make that choice. You're all so amazing, I lied. Ivy stood and said,
And that's why we'll compete for your hand. If you marry me, I'll give you a villa as your wedding gift,
interrupted Violet.
And I'll give you a Lambo,
said Ivy.
I'll make you CEO of my company,
offered Lily. What did I get myself into? 1 minute I was thinking I was going to have a normal summer. Now I'm being forced to choose between one of 3 billionaire girls. What am I going to do? Who should I choose? Are they really going to force me to do this? Help!